As you can see, man, it's OTA day. It's balance update day where we do what? We look at the changes and we talk about them, man. So let's get straight into it. I'm not going to waste any time. We got an exciting assortment of cards. So we got Angela Hercules, Wide Body, Miles, High Evo, Nick Fury, and last but not least, Elias, man. Let's get straight into it, bro. Let's get straight into it. So, Angela, bro. So, what they did to Angela was they gave her 3 more powers. So now she's 2-3, but they changed her ability back down to +1. So, if y'all remember, I don't know how long y'all been playing the game, but if you guys remember, I think it was like a few months ago at this point, Angela used to be 2-2 with +1 because they changed her from 2-0 +2 to 2-2 +1. And I thought she was fine at that point because, you know, I'm pretty sure Hope Summers was still out at that time. And even with the +1, like, you know, you're still going to be able to get your Angela to a very strong amount, right? By putting, you know, Nightcrawler, Jeff, Spider-Man, Vision, like all those different cards behind her, Kitty Pryde, right? Like I already thought her ability was fine. I did say it like a few months ago that she needed to get nerfed, and I think that this is actually good. Honestly, they could have honestly brought her back to 2-2 in my opinion, but I mean 2-3, she's still strong. But I also like this because it kind of messes up the synergy with Ravonna, and I don't necessarily think that Ravonna is a bad card. She kind of reminds me of like a new Zabu, and so I don't think that she necessarily needs to be changed. But I guess I would agree with, instead of changing the cause, change the symptoms. Angela was one of the symptoms. We saw Professor X just got nerfed a couple weeks ago, and so I agree with this, man. Let's read what they have to say, then I'm gonna wrap up my thoughts on her. Once more, we've seen Angela decks rise to claim a huge share of the metagame. On some weeks, Angela decks managed to exceed 20% of all games played while being the best deck, which is well above our threshold for health. If the decks were dissimilar, that would be one thing, but over time, these decks have largely homogenized to use the same core of cards with a handful of differences and the occasional small combo like Annihilus, Sentry, or Darkhawk in the rest. We're trying a more generous nerf than the last time, since we do like these decks existing but not at this level, and Angela is the biggest culprit in pushing them to share similar cards like Kitty, Jeff, and Nocturne, right? I mean, you know, the Angela, Elsa, Hope Summers deck, right? You see those 3 and then you pair up Kitty Pryde, you throw whoever else you want on the deck, and then you have something strong, right? And I mean, you know, it was just good, right? Like, it was just good. I mean, you can White Widow, Red Guardian, whoever else you want. And so, you know, factoring in their reason why they nerfed her, also giving you guys my opinion, I like this change and I agree with it. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Let's move on down to Big Herc. So they changed him down to a 3 cost 4 power card, and they kept his ability the same. It's interesting, man. If we you know, we look at these last couple patches, man, they look like we got the move decks on the rise, bro. And man, I really gotta talk about the leaks. There was like some pretty cool move cards with like a new mechanic in the game. It was called like Activate. We gonna talk about it, y'all, one of these days, trust me. But you know, 3-4, I like them for Hercules. I felt like on turn 4, I would rather, if I'm playing a move deck on turn 4, I would rather try to move my Vulture, move my you know, my Dagger, move somebody, put somebody on my Craven lane, put somebody on my Kingpin lane, and he did get buffed. We gonna talk about that as well. So I felt like there was never really an opportunity to play Hercules, man. And so I think that, you know, in addition to all the other move card changes and this, man, we're going to be able to actually see Big Herc, right? The change we made to how move resolves a few weeks ago didn't have as dramatic an effect on move decks as we expected. Even Phoenix Force has some very good performances. However, a handful of cards did get meaningfully worse as a result of the change, and we're going to improve some of them this week. Hercules was the biggest negative change, so we've decided to go ahead and give the 3 cost version a chance to compensate. Players seem enthusiastic about this idea when Hercules was first released, so we hope you enjoy trying it out. Yeah, man, if I had Hercules, I would definitely try him out. I ain't got them, man. Y'all gonna have to let me know what your opinions on this are. But I mean, even without having them, bro, I like this. I like this for move decks as well. But speaking of move decks, we got basically one of the channel mascots, big body, wide body, big Kingpin, man. So they took him down from 2-3 to 1 cost and 2 power, right? I like this, bro. I already thought 2-3 was fine. And he had a completely different ability before, like when he was first released, destroy cards on the last turn. And that, I mean, that wasn't that great, but ever since they changed his ability, I always thought that Kingpin was, you know, a decent to good card. And being able to get him out on turn 1 now, I just think that he's even better. Let's read what they had to say. Kingpin also took a big hit with the change of move, so we're going to see if a more efficient cost will improve this card's performance. Landing earlier should make it easier to slide Kingpin into curves for decks trying to play a lot of 3 and 5 cost cards that move enemy cards, right? So now one thing you're going to be able to do is on the last turn, you play your Kingpin and then you play your arrow behind it. And so you actually have a last turn combo as opposed to just putting down Magneto or just putting down Heimdall, right? Obviously you could also do something like put down your Spider-Man 2099 and then put down Ghost Spider. But I mean, you know, why not just give move decks more avenues, more lanes, more ways to win the game, right? I like this. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all know how I feel about big body. But up next, man, we got a really interesting change, bro. We got Miles, so they gave him 1 point of power. Obviously, this is good for move decks. They're buffing move decks, as we can see, right, from the last couple of patches. But for some reason, well, for a certain reason, you guys, I actually don't like this, man. And the reason why is because, you know, it takes Miles out of the Cerebro 5 deck, and I feel like he's probably one of the most, obviously Cerebro is the most important card in that deck, but he's probably like second or third, bro, because you got Polaris, Spider-Man, you know, you're going to be moving somebody, so Miles fit perfect in that, but now you can't use that because he's 6. On top of that, bro, you know, you're nerfing that Angela deck by nerfing Angela. But Miles is always in that Angela deck anyway, so now, you know, you're not really giving players an incentive to use something else by nerfing Angela and buffing Miles, because, you know, they're still going to be able to use that deck to the same degree of strength, in my opinion. But let's go ahead and read what, you know, they had to say about it. The last of our move buffs goes to Miles Morales. Nothing too fancy here. It just seems like there's room to add a power to the card. This does disrupt a movement-based Cerebro 5 deck we've seen from time to time, but that deck hasn't been very popular, and we like to see if Miles could find more homes in that. So you nerf a unpopular deck and you make a popular deck even stronger. All right, let's just move on. Let's move on, bro. Y'all just heard what I explained. So High Evo, man, they gave him 2 points of power. So they gave Nick Fury, Miles, and High Evo, they all made them 4/6. I don't have a problem with making the cards stronger individually. I just feel like it doesn't promote a variety of gameplay in the way that I think that they're anticipating it will. Like, I mean, I'm just going back to Miles real quick. Like, obviously I said this makes move decks better, but it also makes the generic Angela deck that they're trying to get rid of better as well, right? High Evo is already a strong deck, and this just gives you more incentive to play High Evo as opposed to, you know, using something completely new and unique. And we're going to talk about Nick Fury. I don't like this change either. I mean, it's cool, but I think that High Evo essentially being a useless card on his own deck makes sense to me. I'm not sure lore-wise if that makes sense, because I only saw the Guardians 3 movie, but I mean, he basically had everybody else doing stuff for him, so it kind of makes sense that he's useless and everybody else all of his creations do all the work. But here's the thing, you guys. If you're gonna make High Evo a usable card on a High Evo deck, then it just makes it all the harder to deal with, because every evolve card is great. And now, you like, there's no drawbacks anymore. That's why I don't like it. You know what I'm saying? Let's read what they have to say. High evolutionary decks have slid from their once prominent peak. We didn't expect this buff to fix that, but it's a place. We're happy to add some power given there's room to do so, and the deck could use a little help. We're also looking at other changes that will positively impact this archetype, so stay tuned. I actually don't like that, bro. Obviously it slid. I'm assuming they're saying from a usage, like the data usage, like less people are using High Evo. But here's how I feel about High Evo, bro. I feel about High Evo the same way as I do about a Shuri Sauron deck. Sure, it might not be popular, but you can always scrub somebody out with it. Like, you can, and it's not like it's never seen, right? Like, High Evo is it definitely has to be more popular than, let's say a Guardians Jean Grey deck or a Phoenix Force deck. But I mean, I don't know. I don't like this, bro. I mean, outside of what I explained, 4/6 is fine. I'm just gonna bring up a different card, for example, that's not even, in this patch. White Widow. White Widow is 2/6. So why can't every 4-cost card have at least 6 points of power? You know what I'm saying? You might disagree with that, but maybe that means White Widow is too strong. You know what I mean? But it's complicated, man, to think about all this stuff. I like, but I don't like these two changes. But let's go ahead and move on, man. Try to keep this a little bit short. Nick Fury, 4/6. So, what's funny about this? I like this, but what's funny about this is that this, like, essentially makes White Queen completely useless to use. Like, this makes White Queen she was already not the first choice, on that type of, a Devil Dinosaur, Loki, Collector, that type of deck. She was already not the first choice. But now that Nick Fury is just as strong as White Queen, but does, pretty much 3 times as much as what she does, like, why even use the card? So Nick Fury has been an underplayed card for a while and has had room to gain power without being disruptive. Plus, 6 power for 6 costs is elegant. Long term, we're optimistic about finding a few more reasons to consider Nick over the current default options for filling one's hands with cards. I like it, but I mean, it's pretty much the same for all of these cards. I like it, but I don't, bro. I like this for move. I don't like this for the Angela stuff. I like this for High Evo individually. I don't like this for High Evo decks as a whole. I like this for Nick Fury. I don't like this for the other cards that fit into the Devil Dinosaur archetype, right? I think you guys pretty much understand what I'm trying to say. Let's just go ahead and move on to Alive, man. So Alive, they gave him 2 more points of power. Alive is these, and let me just go ahead and scroll back up to the top so we can just look at all of them. Yeah, let's just do that. Alive is it's a very hard card to touch up, in my opinion, bro, because obviously nobody liked pre-patch Alive, not this version, the 6/2 destroy everybody Alive. Nobody liked that. You don't want to make him too strong, but you can't have him too weak to the point where he doesn't win you the game anyways. Obviously his ability will win you the game in most cases, but I mean, if I put like a Magneto down and you put a Alive down, you probably lost. I don't know, you guys, how I really feel about these changes. Like, outside of Hercules and Kingpin, I don't really have a strong positive or negative feeling about the changes. I feel like all of them have their like, they don't all only do a good job of making the game better. You understand what I'm saying? So, it's really hard to give a strong opinion about that. But here's what I will say though. I do think that it's fine that they don't only do good, because you know, a game like this, you can't really expect to be balanced. And so you have to do the best you can to balance it. But at the same time, it's just so many different factors to consider, man. I really do think that this was a very interesting patch though, you guys. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. I'm pretty much done with my analysis for now. But as always, y'all be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We're on the road to 2K subs. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.